Hello. Okay, so we're gonna try this again. Got kicked off there, but I wanted to be here today to share with you from my heart just information about how to heal, overcome, and have a healthy relationship with food. So do you feel like maybe you are an emotional eater or have emotional eating tendencies? Do you feel like maybe when things get rough and the stuff hits the fan, then you stress eat? So that's what we're going to be talking about today. What is emotional eating? What is stress eating? And then all the things about the truth about how to actually overcome it and heal it. Hi, Elaine. So glad you're here. So glad you're here. So let's jump in. I have a little bit of a description about who the heck is this Miss Coach Emmy person. And so I have a little bit in the description, so if you're interested in that. But the biggest thing that we want to talk about today is that emotional eating is not a food problem. It's not. We want to just say, oh my goodness, I need to get back in control of my food. I need to get back on track. And it can be easy to say, okay, let me find another diet. And then that doesn't work. And then let's find another diet and another diet. And it's an exhausting way to exist. And so I want to help you have a different existence and start to shift in another direction that actually works. So hang with me, and I am going to give you the full how to stop dieting and start living conversation today. So feel free to take notes and be really focused because you're going to get some really good stuff. So let's jump into this first of all. I always just love to share a bit about who I am. Yes, we've got this description here of awesome. It's wonderful to be a certified eating psychology coach. And yes, I have a history of working as a program director and a center director for a major weight loss corporation. All of that are good qualifications. But what I feel like is the biggest thing that has really helped me be an expert in this field is my own personal experience of walking through this, trying everything under the sun and still struggling, but then being able to find my own path and getting to the other side of that. So I always love to start with that. So you know that I truly understand the struggle around food and feeling miserable in our body. So let me just tell you a little bit about my story here. So when I first started, I was struggling with emotional eating really was about the age of 8. And that's for my clients, what I see so many of the time is it can start that young, sometimes younger, but typically if people are really struggling with emotional eating, it starts around those teen years and younger, like 12, 13 and younger, or in times of trauma or high levels of stress. Elaine talked a little bit about the ACEs earlier today, and that's a really good indicator of where some of the emotional eating can stem from is from trauma. And so I love helping women overcome those pieces of it that are related to food. So the reason I developed emotional eating challenges is that when I was 4 years old, my mom abandoned me to my dad. And my mom went through a lot of abuse with him. And so I grew up from a very young age not having a mom and really being with my father, who was very abusive in every way you can imagine, emotionally, physically, hearing things like, no wonder your mom didn't want you, things like you're so fat, you're ugly, you are meticulous, you're slow, things that just made me feel stupid, ugly, and unwanted. And so I developed just a way of being where I thought I wasn't good enough. I thought I was ugly and horrible. And I started turning to food at a young age of 8 years old. My father also struggled. So he was paranoid schizophrenic and not medicated. And so he truly had mental illness, not that I knew that at the time. But he also struggled with bulimia. So there was a lot of his own disordered eating and relationship with food that also spilled over And I witnessed a lot of that, meaning, when he would go to the bathroom for a very long time in a bulimic episode, I would go run to the kitchen and find some ice cream and then just quickly shove it in my mouth, or grab a row of Oreos and just try to get as many in my face as I possibly could, because there was such control around food that I wasn't allowed to have any choice about food. I was always trying to be super duper healthy. So I grew up with that, but I hated my body. I hated my body because the one person that was supposed to love me in life told me that I was ugly and fat. Even though I was very athletic and I was not overweight, which doesn't matter whether we're overweight or not, but I just felt that way because of what he was saying. And then at the age of 15, the abuse was discovered, and I went to go live with my mom. And so it had been almost 11 years of not really seeing her. I saw her twice in 11 years. And so I went from this massive control of food and what I wore and everything to a whole new household, and I didn't know how to function. I didn't know how to function with not being controlled. And I started eating a ton of bread. That was one of the first times I had access to any food and I could eat what I wanted. And I overate so much. I would eat about a half a loaf of bread, tons of, cream of wheat. I would eat a ton of that. But unfortunately, I went from one abusive household to the next, and she just wasn't ready to be a mom. And so through that process, I got so upset and got angry and pissed and decided I am not going to be abused anymore. Her boyfriend was extremely abusive, and so I ran away. And on the run, I got pregnant at 16 years old, and I decided that I loved my daughter. It wasn't planned, but there was a purpose. She's a surprise, and I am not going to allow her to live in the same environment, in an abusive environment. So I decided to live in homeless teen shelters for about 2.5 years with her. And that's when I really started the process of wanting to heal this. She came into this world. This was a huge turning point for me in my journey with food and myself and healing, was when she was born. I automatically loved her. I loved her so, so much. I didn't even really know her, but when she was born, I just so loved her. And she came into this world with all the beauty and glory and wonderfulness. And I realized I did as well. I did as well. And my parents just weren't able to love me the way that I deserved. And that was my shift, my empowerment shift, that started helping me get the ball rolling on starting the process of healing emotional eating. So I dieted my way up the scale to a point where I was 50 pounds heavier than where I'm at right now. And I want to share that because dieting is very harmful on many levels. And so finally, after about 20 years of dieting and trying everything under the sun, I decided to quit. I decided to quit dieting and stepping more into my worthiness and self-worth. And that's when I started to heal. And I remember a driveway moment. We all have our moments where it's like, wow, this was a life-changing moment. I was so miserable that I decided that if I was going to gain weight in the process of healing emotional eating, so be it. Because I was so downright miserable and obsessed about food and hated my body and absolutely could not focus on the beauty of my daughter and my children at that point. And so I remember sitting in my driveway saying, Emmy, you've got to learn how to feel your feelings. No diet, no new menu plan, new way of eating is going to fix all the reasons why, or heal why we're turning to the food. And that's when I decided to lean in and figure this out. And so in that process, I've created my own program that's called the Living Blissfully Healthy program, 5 puzzle pieces to healing emotional eating. And I want to give you some pieces of that today. So that's a little bit about where I come from, but that was the moment that I had to do to get to the place where I'm happier, I'm absolutely healthier, and being able to really start to love life. We have to be able to do that. This is about you being your happiest self. That's what we're all after, is to be happy. That's what we all want, is to be happy. And so let's start to piece back what is emotional eating. Okay, so let's take a look at this. Now, we've got 3 reasons why emotional eating happens. And this is something I saw in working with tons of people in the major weight loss corporation that I was a part of. So I saw so many women coming back, losing weight, gain it, losing weight, gain it. And every time they came back, they would feel more shame and they'd have less motivation each and every time. And they'd come back higher and higher up on the scale as well, because emotional eating was driving this pattern. So there's 3 reasons why emotional eating happens when we kind of look at it on an umbrella of 3 reasons. So one is the behavior. It becomes more of, I'm getting something from the behavior. It can be more like a habit. So what do I do when I go home? I go home, I turn the TV on. Oh, what do we do when the TV's on? Maybe the brain pathway has been trained to food. Let's go to food. So every time we might turn the TV on, now we have this habit loop in our brain that says, go to the food. And so that's part of what it is it's been ingrained in there. So that's habit, number 1. Another way of thinking about it is the reason for number 2 reason is disempowering beliefs. These are huge, and I love all of Elaine's work because she does a great job with talking about this, and especially with the body image stuff that we have in common with that. So if we have beliefs that say, oh, I've tried so many different things in the past, why even try again? Why even try again? Or there's no way I'm going to overcome this whole emotional eating thing. I've been doing it all my life, or I've been doing it and I tried so many different things. Or I'm not worthy to do what it takes to be happy and healthy. Yeah, I might know I need support, but I don't feel worthy of investing time or money or whatever resources it might be. So the bottom line with that is I don't feel worthy. Another thing I see with clients as part of this 3rd one, which is the second one, which is the disempowering beliefs, is if I change the way I eat, if I change my relationship with food, then it might upset others. My husband might not like the way I'm eating. We may not go out as often to eat. Like, other people are going to be inconvenienced, and I'm not worthy of saying what I want and taking great care of myself because it's going to inconvenience others. So that's another piece of that. Those disempowering beliefs really can keep us stuck. And we'll talk a bit about how those are created and how to overcome those today. The 3rd reason emotional eating stays in place is because of the after feeling. The reality is that emotional eating, it kind of works. It works. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing it. That's with any habit, anything that you feel like, I know what to do, but I'm not doing it. There's a gap between knowing what to do and actually doing it. And what is that gap? It's many times subconscious. It's one of these 3 things we're talking about right now. But the after feeling is a really big one. So we don't do anything unless we get a reward out of it, especially when we have a constant pattern that we may not enjoy that we're doing. And so I'm going to see if I can check some of the comments. Have a good amount of people on today. So awesome. So the after feeling. So when we eat a lot of sugar, guess what happens? We might get a hit of dopamine or a hit of serotonin, our good, happy neurotransmitters. And dopamine, it's actually a neurotransmitter and a hormone. And so we can actually have physiological changes in our body that our brain then goes, oh, that felt really great. Great. So next time you're sad and lonely, go to the food. And it can just become these cravings. And so that's another reason why emotional eating stays in place. So are those speaking to you? I would love to hear some comments here. Tell me if this is making sense to you. Are you seeing yourself in any of this so far? Comment below, because I'm going to be responding to all of these comments after I get off today. So I'm looking forward to hearing from you. Okay, guys, are you ready for some really good stuff now? This is the most funnest part. That's not even a word, but I'm going to say it's a word today. This is the best part. I love this part. It's so fun. Okay, 9 types of emotional eating. So this is something that I just kind of put together a couple of years ago to describe what emotional eating is. And it's not to box you in to another, I am an emotional eater. It's not to label you. It's to say, is this happening for me? And name it. And because what it does is it gives you your power back. So as you listen to this, I would love to just invite you to think about, does this resonate for me? Is this me? Do I see myself in this? There are 9 types of emotional eating, and many clients that I work with actually have several of them, and if not almost all of them. And for me, I had probably 8 out of the 9 of them when I was really struggling with the emotional eating. Okay, so the first one is the bored eater. This might be, you might want to go and find food or eat something when you have just this boredom, when you're just feeling like you should be doing something and you're just feeling like there's a white space in your life. So that is the bored eater. The next one is the grazing eater. This one was huge for me. So what it is that just all day long you might be picking at things or eating at things. And the grazing eater can also be connected to the next one, which is the procrastinating eater. In a way, this one is to say, I'm too busy right now to fold the socks or to do the dishes or to do whatever it is that you might be avoiding. So that's the procrastinating eater. So instead of doing the tasks, you might go and eat something in a way to say, I'm too busy right now because I'm eating. The next one is the screw it eater. This might be when you've been really good on your diet all day or weeks, or you had a really good exercise session, or you've been on track, quote unquote, or you've just had a really stressful week, and then you just say, well, screw it. Things are just too tough. Stuff is hitting the fan, and so screw it. I'm just going to eat anything and everything that's not nailed down and doesn't fight back. Get out of my way. Give me the food. So the next one is the nightcap eater. This one is very common for my clients. So what that one is in the evening, maybe it's been a long, stressful day, maybe it's just there's a lot of things that go on, but then all of a sudden you feel like you do well throughout the day, but then in the evening you just get all these hankerings for food and you find yourself going back to the cupboard over and over, the kitchen over and over to just eat food. Or I've had clients where they go to bed, but then they can't sleep, so then they get up and they might eat something in the middle of the night. That's the nightcap eater. The I deserve it eater, kind of mixed in with the screw eater, but the I deserve it eater is really, I've been doing so good. I had a really good exercise session, so I deserve to go and get fast food or to go and get whatever food so that I don't have to cook. Or it can also be kind of connected to like having a cheat day, if you will. So I deserve it because I've been doing so good. So that is the deserve it eater. If you're noticing that you have any of these tendencies, write that down below and comment like, or do you feel like you're a bored eater? You can put bored eater, or you can say, oh my goodness, I resonate with about 3 of these. You guys, it's really helpful to know that you're not alone. And that's the thing that I really hope brings about today, is that you know you're not alone and it's okay. We are gonna just shed some light on this today so you can just start moving forward. The next one is the Last Supper eater, one of the most important ones to understand. The Last Supper eater is, well, I'm gonna start my new diet on January 1st or February 1st or Monday. So I'm just gonna eat anything and everything right now, make myself so sick. I'm never gonna want such and such food on my new diet that I'm starting again on Monday or February 1st or January 1st or when the kids go back to school. That is the Last Supper eater. And so then what happens is all these foods you're not allowed to have on the new diet, then you might find yourself eating a lot more than if you weren't intending to go on a diet in the first place, right? So I'm going to get it all in right now before I'm not allowed to have it in the future. The next one is the secret eater. So what that one is okay, and the husband's away, it's late at night, the kids are finally down to sleep, and so Now it's my quiet time and I'm going to get something to eat because it's a way of nurturing. Or I'm going to pay cash for the fast food on the way home so that hubby, spouse does not see the transaction come up. Or at least I'm going to scarf it down really fast so nobody knows that I'm eating it. So that's the secret eater. The rebel eater. So this is the last one. And the rebel eater, that is when you think about going on a new diet or restricting food or getting back on track, then all of a sudden, because, I don't know, let's play on apples. Let's just pretend apples. Apples are fine to eat. Enjoy apples. But apples. So now all of a sudden, I'm not allowed to have apples on my new way of eating. So gosh, now I have this hankering for apples. I never really thought about apples, but now I kind of feel obsessed about it and I have a craving and I'm going to go eat as many apples as I can because I'm not going to be allowed to eat them on my new diet. So that's kind of connected also with some of the other ones. So they can kind of mix and match. They can kind of mingle together. So which ones do you have? How many are you noticing that you might have? If you have all of them, it's okay. You're in good company. This is just starting to identify, because once we can start to observe it and see it, we can heal it, right? So again, those are the bored eater, the grazing eater, the procrastinating eater, the screw it eater, the nightcap eater, the I deserve it eater, the Last Supper eater, the secret eater, and the rebel eater. How many do you feel like you might resonate with? Comment below. I can't wait to see the comments. Okay, so what is the emotional eating? The emotional eating, the purpose many times for the emotional eating really is so that, I'm just going to see if I can read some comments here. Yeah, absolutely. I deserve ice cream. Right, exactly. That's me. I deserve it. So true. Exactly. Yeah, so it's just good to see like, oh, wow, I see this, right? So emotional eating, here's the purpose of it. You're just trying to nurture yourself. You're trying to find a way to self-soothe. That's really the core of it all, is trying to self-soothe. And so I like to give the example of, I had a client come in and she just started to work with me, and a couple weeks in, she's like, Emmy, I just feel like a naked banana. And I thought, wow, that is such a great explanation. I love it. And what that means is, she said, I just feel like more emotional, and I feel like anything is going to make me smushy and crumble or bruise me. And you know, it's so true. Sometimes in the beginning, when we start to feel more, when we start to not use food, now we're not numbing out. Because the challenge is that when we use something outside of ourselves to like emotional eating, it's to numb out whatever feelings we don't want to feel or things we don't want to think about. It's a numbing way, right? Self-soothing. Same thing with overspending, overworking, money issues, just all sorts of things can be connected. And so when we numb out, what ends up happening is we're going through life like this. We're not really in the driver's seat. We're just going through the motions. It kind of feels just like, this is what I'm supposed to do, so this is what I'm going to do. But we're not really taking the reins and like being present and enjoying life. And so what happens when we numb out, now we're not really able to experience joy. And then that does mean, yeah, we're not experiencing some of the negative things, but it's normal. We want to have a way of being that is responsive to our emotions. And by using emotional tools, which is what I love teaching clients, and I'm going to teach you one today that you can use right away, it helps you actually use something quickly, within seconds, within minutes, that helps you feel better than actually emotionally eating. And I know that may be just mind-blowing to even think about, especially for me. If I would have thought about, like, there's nothing better than emotional eating, that's just crazy. That is just craziness, Miss Coach Emmy. So when we heal emotional eating and we stop using the food in that sense of it, we can feel like a naked banana. So you, my dear, are invited to walk around in life as a beautiful naked banana without needing the food to cope with life. So I hope that brings a smile to your face, that little story. So let's talk about why dieting is an issue. And I know Elaine has talked about this. She does a great job talking about this also. So dieting tells you what you can have and what you can't have, right? And so what's the problem with that? Well, that's going to create more, okay, my shirt's bothering me now. That's going to create more of the cycle around food. It's going to actually initiate rebel eating, Last Supper binge eating, right? So let me give you an example with this. This is one of the funnest parts that I like to do also. Secondary funnest part. So let's just pretend for a second that this time I'm really going to do it. I'm going to drop 20 pounds in 20 days because I am going to Hawaii. So this time I'm really going to do it. Let's just pretend. So I decide, okay, I'm going to do this I'm going to do it all right now, and I'm going to do it perfectly. I'm going to journal all my foods. I'm not going to eat anything but broccoli and chicken. I'm going to be so good. And so you might start to go down that road, but all you can think about is food and measuring your food and putting it into an app or journaling it on a piece of paper and tracking everything. And becomes this obsession where all you can see is that. You can't see elsewhere. You're just very obsessed about that. You might even start feeling a little bit of a false high, a little bit like focus, like, oh, I'm feeling really good. I feel on track, because there's a false sense of worthiness that comes with I'm on track, right? So there's that diet. But then, oh my goodness, because now I've taken away the food, which is one of my only ways of getting my nurturing, my comfort, my protection, my safety, emotionally speaking, I'm not getting that anymore. And I haven't replaced it with learning emotional tools so that I can navigate through life without needing the food. I'm just white knuckling it and trying to control the food. So a couple days in, that newness is starting to fall off. I am starting to get some cravings because all those emotions are coming up that I didn't feel before. But I'm holding on. I'm white knuckling it. I'm starting to think about the other food, and it's becoming an inner battle. Should I eat the food? Should I not? Should I eat the food? Should I not? Just a little bit. Maybe a little bit won't hurt. And again, more obsession, more obsession. I'm white knuckling it though. A couple more days go by, and I go by the staff room, and all of a sudden, I eat a Hershey's Kiss. Let's pretend. Oh my goodness. And then I can't even taste it because all of my emotions, and now physiologically, I'm not eating in a balanced way. So now I'm craving food even more, but I can't calm myself down enough to even taste the food. But then I think, oh, well, dang it. Oh, I'm such a failure. I cannot believe it. I was doing so good, and now I am just a failure. I'm never going to be able to overcome this. I'm so fat and ugly. Who would want this? And then I think, well, it's Friday night. Might as well just eat anything and everything that's not nailed down and doesn't fight back, and I'll get back on track on Monday. And it creates this cycle of now I'm going to binge and emotionally eat or just do whatever I want. So we have all or nothing, perfectionism, all the way over to nothing, all, nothing, all, nothing. And it's this pendulum of back and forth with the diet mentality. And when we're living in this extreme, guess what, guys? We're not really focused on all the beauty and all the glory and wonderful things we have in life because we're so obsessed about food and weight and dieting. And that is exhausting and just not a fun way to exist. And you are not here to focus on your food and weight. That's not your purpose in life, is to be the perfect weight or to be obsessed with food. No. So we want to get out of the diet mentality. We want to stop the whole I can't eat this or I can't eat that. So diets really create more of this all or nothing. It tells you if you're good or bad based on what you eat or don't eat. It compares you to the standards of what the diet is. So you're taking what you should eat or what you should not eat outside of yourself. And that means you will always need to look for the next diet, look for the next diet, look for the next diet, look for the next diet. And that's exhausting. That's not how we were made to live. So the restriction from dieting creates more emotional eating. The restriction from dieting creates more emotional eating. That's the truth. So how do we even exist without dieting? If you were like me, I dieted for decades. What does life even look like without being obsessed about food? And so that's what we want to look at. Yes, we want to create a lifestyle. We do. And I know it's becoming this buzzword. And every time I hear it, I'm like thinking, huh. And I think about what the commercial is explaining about a lifestyle, and I'm like, wow, that is totally a diet. And so it's such a misuse of the word lifestyle. So what is a lifestyle? So in Blissfully Healthy land, which is what I like to say, my business is Blissfully Healthy. So if at any point you want to read some blogs or get some more videos, you can go to blissfullyhealthy.com, just the way it's spelled. But the blissfully healthy way to think about a lifestyle is that it's really customized to you. It's very much customized to you. If you like broccoli, great, enjoy some broccoli. If you like, kale, awesome, have at it. If you don't like kale, then don't. You don't have to eat that. If you don't care for most fruits, great, we'll find some other options. So it's really customized to you. Another way that I like to talk about customizing your lifestyle is with exercise, because all of this also has to do with exercise. Because when we think about dieting, we can think about, we go into a place of post-traumatic diet disorder. It's not a real thing in the DSM-5, although I think it is. And I think we should start a petition to get it in the DSM-5, post-traumatic diet disorder. So whenever we think about, I need to lose weight, now we have classically conditioned ourselves to think, if I want to lose weight, I've got to restrict my food. And now, guess what? The emotional brain and the reptilian brain, which is where most of the emotional eating is housed, it panics and it says, oh my gosh, she's going to take away my food, my love, my comfort. How am I going to emotionally survive? And we can get into panic mode. And now it's this inner battle. So we want to get our prefrontal cortex back online, which is where we make adult decisions. The emotional brain is like 12 years old and younger, and the reptilian brain is about 4 years old and pre-verbal. So most of the time when we are emotionally eating, we're probably 12 years old or younger, speaking as far as what part of our brain is showing up to do business. And then guess what? A lot of the times, what will we do? This used to be me. Oh my gosh, I'm so fat and ugly. This is horrible. I'm worthless. I'm hopeless. And we just beat ourselves up. Would you do that to a 4-year-old child who was sad? Maybe feeling lonely? Maybe acted out a little bit because they were lonely? We wouldn't shame them. We would want to hold them. We would want to give them compassion and say, oh, hon, I'm so sorry that you had a disappointing day. You want to talk about it? Or of course you'd be upset. Of course you would need some nurturing and some love. That is exactly how we need to develop talking to us. That is part of what a lifestyle is. So right now we're talking about what a lifestyle is, and that is part of this. So we need to develop a nurturing inner voice, a responsive inner voice that loves ourselves in our dark side, in our light side, and everywhere in between. So our light side might be happy and joyful, and it's easy to eat healthy, and it's just, we're just showing up because we're joyful and happy. And then things happen and we can get into our dark side, or that time of the month can happen and we can get into our dark side. And we want to love ourselves even then and say, oh, I see you, Miss Emmy. I see you, Miss Emmy. You're totally being a little bit of a biatch. And I love you anyways. And guess what that does? In that moment, by being able to identify it and say, wow, you're totally showing up as that. You are so irritable, or you are so cranky, love. From a place of love and not shame, it totally shifts the brain state. And we're like, okay, it just lowers the intensity of it. So a lifestyle is really utilizing these types of emotional tools as a way of living. It just becomes daily life. So all of this will be a one step at a time approach. It's about the long term. It is, yes, a journey, but it's just life. It's just living life. So instead of thinking, how am I going to get through the day by being on track with eating, you're actually thinking about other things that are more important. And then when it comes time for lunch, you're thinking, oh, what am I hungry for? What do I want to eat? And you open up the kitchen or the refrigerator, or you pull out your lunch and you just eat some food and you enjoy it. But it's not a battle. And you actually want to add in foods that make you feel really, really awesome. So I hope that shines a light a little bit on what a lifestyle is. It's not about controlling food. I hope that really makes sense. It's not about controlling, because trying to control, it's just going to trigger that emotional brain and the reptilian brain. And the reptilian brain is there for your survival, and it will always win. So any diet will always lead to a backlash of emotional eating as long as the emotional eating roots are still in place. And we want to use some tools to really truly heal that. So let me give you an example now of what that is. Before we end our time together today, I want to give you a really great example. So I'm going to show you my paper here. This is something I give out at when I am a keynote speaker at places. So hopefully you can see this. So we have, let me see if I can get it. Oh, there you go. Okay, so we have the cycle here. You can see at the top, we have a belief. So let's just say we have a belief that says, I'm never going to be able to overcome this whole emotional eating thing, or love my body the way it is. I'm never going to be able to do that. And then we have a thought. You see that next? Thought. So we have a belief, and that typically is subconscious. Now the thoughts are, look at how many different things I've done. Look at how many things I've tried. Or the society tells me I should be a certain weight. Or, I have to eat a perfect way because that's what society says, and all these magazines say this is what I should eat and I don't want to. So I'm a failure. So that thought, if I can find it, boom, that thought leads to a feeling. So now that I'm thinking, comment below, guys. I'd love to see some more comments. Comment below on this. So if I think I'm so fat and ugly, I'm hopeless, this is pointless, why even try again? Look at how many different things I failed. Like this stuff works, Miss Coach Emmy, for everybody else, but I don't know, not for me, because I've tried so many different things. Okay, so let's just say, if you were to think those thoughts, how does that make you feel? Just connect with that for a moment and label a feeling. I'd love to see some comments below. So would that maybe be hopeless, powerless, depressed, unworthy, just doesn't feel good, right? Comment below on your thoughts too on that. And then that feeling leads to a behavior, right? So if I'm feeling down and low and I have emotional eating habits and an emotional attachment to food that gives me love and nurturing and comfort and emotional safety as my main way of coping with emotions, yes, give me some food to numb that out, because I don't want to feel that way. Absolutely. I don't want to feel that way either. So of course, yes, for sure. I'm checking some comments here. Shame, yeah, I love that, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. And shame is toxic, right? It's good to feel guilty about things sometimes, because it tells us we have conscious and maybe something wasn't in alignment with what we wanted to do. And shame is just, I am bad. So guilt is, I did something maybe in my dark side there, but shame is like, I am bad and unworthy. Yeah, really good word. Yeah. So if I'm feeling shameful, I'm going to want to use some food to numb it out, especially if I don't have other emotional tools, right? So then that behavior then leads to the result. What's the result? The result might be I emotionally eat more because of those thoughts and feelings. It might be that I'm just not feeling healthy in my body because of the foods I'm choosing. Maybe it makes me groggy and tired or gassy because they don't work for my body, right? And then that proves back to the belief and says, see, told you I can't do this. I'm just a failure. So it proves back to the belief. So your results prove your belief. Okay? So let's flip this. Now, we can't just change our beliefs, because the way we create a belief is we actually pile up all this supporting evidence, and it says, now I have this belief to stand on because I've got all this evidence. So we first have to actually start with our thoughts. We intercept this cycle at our thoughts. And I'm happy to get this PDF, Elaine, if you want this, and you can upload this in your group here for people to print off if they want. So we want to intercept the thoughts. So the same belief is, I can't do this. There's no way I'm going to be able to overcome emotional eating. Why even try again? Okay, so we still have those thoughts. Boom, we're going to pause and check in with those and say, are those thoughts helpful or harmful? And if they're not helpful, we're going to flip them and say, okay, well, I'm on my way. I didn't have all the pieces to heal this whole emotional eating thing. So now I have more insight and I'm just going to start taking one step at a time. Or it might be, yeah, I do have some challenges around food. And you know what? No matter what I weigh or don't weigh, or what I eat or what I don't eat, has nothing to do with my worth. And so if those thoughts don't resonate with you, really just starting from a place of, instead of hating yourself, trying to hate yourself thin, because we cannot hate ourselves thin, lady. This is why, because I will emotionally eat if I hate myself, right? And what Elaine's talked about with the toxic thoughts earlier today is so awesome. So definitely go back to that Facebook Live. It's awesome. So if I'm hating myself, it's really hard to go all the way over to the place and say, I love myself. That is where we need to be, and you are worthy of that. But if you're finding it hard and almost like, no, totally normal. It's okay. What we want to first do is say, okay, I'm noticing I'm having self-deprecating thoughts. I hate myself. I'm fat and I'm ugly. Things like that. We want to go towards body gratitude, body acceptance. I accept that this is my body that I have right now. Gratitude is awesome. I accept I have stretch marks all over my tummy because I was a teen mom at 17 years old. But I am so grateful for those because it's like my battle wounds of motherhood. This is my body. I don't have the most perkiest breasts after breastfeeding 3 children, but I'm so grateful that I breastfed. So these are my breasts, and you know what? I'm grateful for them. Or, I have maybe thicker ankles than most people may have. And I used to have a lot of shame over that, actually. And I would say I have kinkles, and I still say that, but I say it lovingly now. But you know what? Instead of saying, oh my gosh, my ankles are fat, I go to a place of, thank goodness I have strong ankles, because I'm never going to have ankle problems. And that's just my Norwegian roots. So thank you very much. That's me. So when we get to those thoughts, how do those make you feel if you choose thoughts like that? So we go from a place of, I hate myself, to I accept parts of me. Now I accept all of me. And then I can like parts of me, and then I can like all of me. And then I can love parts of me, and then I love all of me. It's a process, it's a process that we can get through, and you're so worthy of that. So now that I'm having more positive feelings, hey, I want to take good care of myself. Now that I'm accepting, liking, and loving myself, heck yeah, I want to get more sleep. I want to get a job that I love doing because this is the one life I have to live. And heck yeah, I'm going to spend most of my time doing what I love. And you know what? I want to drink more water because I have more energy and more mental clarity. And I want to do those types of things out of love for myself. Out of love for myself, not out of being right or wrong, not out of doing it perfectly, but out of because I love myself, because it's a loving thing to do. Okay, so that is, so over here, what we want to do is we want to be thinking in the 3 Ps: positive, powerful, and present thoughts, okay? And I also want to mention, this is not a before and after weight loss picture, although that will be the first impression. It is a before and after of when we heal the emotional eating. If some people's bodies will release weight as a side effect, but it is not a focus. It is not a focus at all. We take that weight loss goal, we put it on the back burner, and we focus on using emotional tools. We focus on loving and liking ourselves, and then whatever weight we're supposed to be at will happen. So that is what we want to do. Focus on healing the emotional eating, and your healthiest, happiest self will appear one step at a time. So I hope that today's talk has been helpful. Yes, Elaine Turso says, flip it, start with thoughts. Exactly. We have to start there. Then over time, what ends up happening is we have all these thoughts. We consciously see proof of that. We now have proof. And then we have a new belief that says, I am lovable. Other people may reject me, but I will not reject myself. Other people may not like me. They may say not nice things about me, but I will not reject myself, and I will not say negative things about myself, because I will not abandon myself in that way, right? So that's where we want to get to. So I would love to invite you to connect with me. If this was helpful, I'd love to hear about what's your biggest takeaway from today. I'd love to hear from each and every one of you guys. What is most helpful about today for you? What's their biggest takeaway? Comment below. And again, I'm going to reply to all comments. And if you do want to connect with me, there's several ways you can do that. You can go to blissfullyhealthy.com. You can read some of my videos, You can read some of my blogs and watch some of my videos. And if you feel like you'd like to explore this whole coaching thing, I do love working with clients in private coaching and group coaching. And I do offer a free discovery session for those that really want to explore coaching and see if it's a good fit for them. And I also do have a $97 program where you can give Blissfully Healthy a test drive. And that is where you get a 1-hour session with me, so we can really dive into the stuff that you have going on and start to really help you with healing. Like, why is emotional eating happening for you? And give you some real tools like we did today. I have about 5 other ones that really make a huge difference. And then you'll also get the first 2 sessions of my Living Blissfully Healthy online program, as well as being in a group and community like this as well that are my private clients. So those are a couple of ways you can connect with me. And you can also see all of my videos that I've been doing this month called the Morning Boost. We're on day 22 today. So every morning at 7:30 a.m. I'm going live on my Facebook page, on my personal page, and I'm putting those all on my YouTube channel there. And you could catch up on all of those on my YouTube channel. And I'm going to keep those there until January 31st. Oh my goodness, that's like 2 days. So get in there and watch them, and then I'm taking them down and only keeping the top 3 there, and the rest are going to be put in the Living Blissfully Healthy library for my private clients. So, which you are invited to connect with me if you'd like to. So awesome. Okay, guys, this has been so fun. Yes, my pleasure. Oh, I'm so glad this was helpful for you. I'm reading some comments. I love seeing comments. Biggest takeaway, I think I realized how angry I am at my body. Yeah, that's huge. That is really huge. We can definitely, I'm so glad that you're noticing that, because once we can realize what it is, we can start to heal it, right? So absolutely. It's hard to not want to emotionally eat when you're feeling so angry with yourself. Absolutely. Yeah, awesome, awesome. All right, guys, so this has been so fun. I really would love to connect with all of you. So if I could be a resource for you, please feel free to reach out. Bottom line, you don't have to do this alone, and we do need support if this is something that really resonates with you. You need support, and that's okay, and you don't have to do this alone. So, way I love to leave all of my videos, you're welcome to say it with me if you've heard me say it before. You are invited to stop dieting and start living, because a blissfully healthy lifestyle does not have an expiration date, and you are worth it. All right, loves. Great connecting with you today. I'm going to read all comments and comment back. Bye.